Hi there.
How are you?
Hi. I finally figured it out. I kept trying to, I had it up there and all the codes and the numbers, and it was all weird because usually they send me a link and I just hit the link and it goes, but
Sorry, that was my fault actually.
it's all right. No problem. We got it fixed.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi wasn't actually working before, so I wasn't sure if we'd get on or not.
Really?
Yeah, so I was a little bit worried, but fixed all that. That's
That's all right.
great. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining me. You're a Hollywood screen legend that needs no introduction.
Thank
You're
you.
a massive part of my childhood because I watched so many movies that you were in, and it's an absolute
And you,
honor to speak to you.
you actually saw some of the movies while you were a child, huh?
Yeah, I mean, like I was 8, 9 years old watching Beverly Hills Cop, and my brother and I just love that movie, and I probably watched it over 100 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I want to speak to you about soon, but there was a couple of other things I want to start off with. But how's
Sure.
how's things in Colorado?
It's cold today. It's like 28 and cold and windy.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's supposed to be like 60 on Christmas Day, so we're not gonna have a white Christmas for sure.
Wow, wow. And how's things with COVID where you are in your area?
Well, we're in red flag, so we're pretty well locked down. So we had some snow a couple of days ago, and you really can't go out of your house. And if you go out, there's nothing open anyway because all the restaurants and everything's closed. So
Yeah,
the big department stores are open, but I mean, other than going out to have dinner or anything like that, you can't do that. So it's been pretty bad, but I think they just lifted it to maybe go to orange, so it'd be a little bit better anyway. So
yeah. It's been tough for everyone. We come out of a big lockdown about 5 weeks ago, so we've had 0 cases, which has been great. But we had a really harsh lockdown. We couldn't go out, couldn't even leave the house at night.
now, yeah, well, you're not supposed to leave here either unless it's to go to the grocery store or something.
Oh wow.
So where are you, near Sydney?
Not far. We're in Melbourne, down the bottom.
Melbourne, that's right. Okay,
Yeah. Have you
all
been
right.
to Australia before, or?
I've been to New Zealand. I did Tommy Knockers in New Zealand. We shot it. It's supposed to be in Maine, but we shot it in Auckland actually,
Okay.
with Jimmy Smits and
Oh,
Mark
wow.
Helgenberger, and it was a Stephen King, Tommy Knockers. So and E.G. Marshall and myself, and it was a big cast, and it was what was it, a mini series, so it was two-hour shows. So we were there for a while
Oh wow.
and we shot all over Auckland area. So it was great. I loved New Zealand. It was nice, and I wanted to get over to Australia, but I never had the time.
Yeah, it'd be amazing to have you here. Actually, you could do like
Huh?
an Australian tour talking about your career. It'd be amazing. So
Yeah.
I mean, your initial background was theatre first before you got into movies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I started theater when I was in my teens, and then I went to college. I went to University of Southern California and got my degree in theater there, and did a bunch of theater after that. And then I toured Europe, in Germany and England and Scotland, doing theater there at the Edinburgh Arts Festival in Scotland, and did summer stock on Cape Cod, and did a bunch of theater in LA, and uh, be, really before I started doing films at all. And then I got into a little television, and then after that I branched out into film. So but my all my experiences, or my training, was in theater. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a different technique going from theater to film. It's theater's much broader, because you have to reach the back row. But the first couple of things I did on film, I saw it and I went, "Oh my God, I'll never work again." It was because it was so big, and I had to learn how to get everything down into the frame of the film, and
Yep.
same emotions, but you know, channel it a little differently, because in theater everything's big and wide. Yeah. Anyway, that's
So
my
does working in theatre really prepare you to go into movies, to act in movies? coming
I
from
don't know if
a
it
background?
prepared me. And unfortunately, when I was going to USC, uh, the theater department and the film department were miles apart.
Mhm.
The cinema department was on one end of the campus, and the theater department was on the other end of the campus. And we never got a chance to work with one another because they were busy doing their student films, and we were busy doing the theater, the stage stuff.
Yep.
So they never had time to come and see our stuff because they were working, and we never had time to go do theirs because we were doing our stuff. And I mean, I was going to school the same time John Carpenter was there, George Lucas was there.
Oh, George
I
Lucas.
George Lucas was there, and I mean, that's where he started his Star Wars stuff and all that stuff. But yeah, there were a lot of great filmmakers there, but we never got to know one another because we were both all doing our own thing. So it was unfortunate, and I had a meeting with Steven Spielberg when he was getting ready to do ET, and he was a big supporter of the USC cinema department, and he asked me about that. And I said, one could have been in LA and the other one could have been in Arizona. I mean, we were so far apart, it was ridiculous. And I thought it was a shame that we never got to know one another and, got to work with now since then I have, when I did Instinct with Anthony Hopkins,
Yeah.
John Turteltaub directed that. And he was a SC cinema grad, but not with me, but he was after me. But at least and I thought it was really interesting. He actually took some acting classes so he could understand the actor's perspective, which I thought was great of John. And we hit it off real well. So anyway,
Fantastic. So I want to start off with a movie so back in 1973, if you can remember back that far, there was a movie called The Psychopath, or An
Yeah.
Eye for an Eye. It's got two names online.
Yeah,
And I
it
actually
was
watched it a few weeks back.
it was wow. That's like one of the first things I ever did, and I was still in college at the time.
Yeah.
And one of my theater professor's nephew directed that film and asked me to do it. And
That was Larry Brown, the director.
Larry Brown, yeah. So I did it. I was still in college at the time, and it, I can't remember the actor's name right now, and you'd know him if
Tom
Rocco.
Basham.
Anyway, he had seen the movie, which was I have never even seen the movie. But he told me, he said it was such a great idea. They should really do it, because we did it on like $1.50 budget, but it was like nobody.
It was so low budget, but it was an amazing movie. And when I got to the end of it, I thought, how good would this movie be being remade now?
Yeah, and this actor told me, and he's a big actor, Alex Rocco.
Okay.
told me, he said they ought to remake that movie and with a budget because the idea, the theme of it was pretty cool,
Yeah.
And what's his name? The actor who played the psycho
Tom
Basham.
Basham.
Tom Basham, yeah. He was pretty strange dude.
It was creepy. It was a really creepy movie. I mean, I had to watch it on YouTube because I couldn't find it anywhere, and it was in parts, part one, part two. And you were
really?
playing Sergeant Matthews.
I've never even seen it, so I should probably try to see it. So
It's amazing. I mean, the quality on YouTube was pretty bad, but great movie. And he played a really scary character.
yeah. But the storyline is pretty interesting. That he's this wacko guy that was trying to protect children that are getting molested and stuff. But I thought it was a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, and he was a children's TV host. Yeah, so I mean that was a part of the story, and then he'd see the audience and the parents that were being mean to the kids, and then he'd follow them home and try and kill them.
Yeah, it was pretty creepy. It was pretty creepy.
But yeah, it was a great movie.
Yeah, well, there was another film I did when I was in college still called Cap Merkel and the Silks. And somebody posted something on Facebook to me about it, and I said I've never even seen that because I was still in college. I just did, and that was another one that we did for about $1.50, So, and I've never seen that one. there's a few things that I've done that I've never seen.
So you never even seen The Psychopath yet? The first one?
No, no, I've never seen it. I have no idea what it was. You know.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
Um,
he played that. He played that part so well, and I mean, he did a lot of low budget movies. That actor, but the
yeah,
part was amazing.
I
So
don't
do
know
you remember
whatever.
much from there, or
Huh?
do you remember much from that movie? Like when you're on the movie on the set?
Not much. I really don't. That was a long time ago. I don't remember a whole lot, but
Yeah.
anyway, it was a pretty cool idea. I mean, the script was, it's too bad we didn't, have some money to really do it right. But I remember Alex Rocco telling me that was kind of an interesting film. I said, well, I've never seen it, and he said they ought to remake it and and really do it right. But oh well,
Yeah, it just
maybe.
took you from different, like, I mean, even the ending, he's gone to kill one of the mums, and the daughter, who's like 5 or 6, you know, she kills him, and then she shoots the mum. I mean, this, this
Oh really? Okay.
I was like, whoa, I mean, it was just totally out there. I mean, for back then, that would have been, yeah, it was great.
I know. I know.
But yeah, they should remake that.
Well, you'll have to excuse. I'm growing my beard, so uh, uh, I always do that. I was supposed to be shooting a film called Lonesome Soldier, and we got locked down, and we haven't started yet. And
Uh,
I was supposed to start that a while ago, and then we put it on hold, and then we were going to start shooting again in October, and then they had a big breakout in New Mexico where we're going to shoot it, and they locked everything down again. So I don't know when we're going to do it, but I it's you know what it's when I'm not working, it's easier to grow a beard because like the movie I have that just got released called Once Upon a River. I've got a beard and everything in it, and it's it takes me 5 minutes to cut it if I have to cut it, but it takes a long time to grow it. So I always grow one and then I cut it the way I want when I start working, or else I'll keep it if I need it. So
yeah,
they're good to have. So
no problem at all. I mean, this lockdown must be causing so many problems for that. I mean, the industry that you're in.
oh yeah, oh well, everybody's out of work. It's crazy. And everybody's, I've got a couple of projects that I'm supposed to be doing, and they're all on hold.
Wow.
And I'm just anxious to get back to work.
And I mean, they'll all start once this is all over. I mean, they're all on hold.
Yeah, I mean, they were talking real seriously about Beverly Hills Cop 4, and then this all hit, and all the talks kind of stopped because they don't know when they can start. And so, I don't know if I'm going to be in it. I hope so, but and like I say, Lonesome Soldier I had, and unfortunately, Once Upon a River, this film I did, um, taken from a book, is really, really a nice film. And right before the COVID thing hit, we were taking it around to all the festivals, and we won all sorts of film festivals around the world. And it opened, unfortunately, in October, right when the middle of all this COVID stuff. And it was supposed to be in theaters. And of course, the theaters weren't open. So we opened it on virtual theaters, which you can still go see it on that.
Okay.
But it would have been nice to be able to, have the red carpet and the opening and have it play in theaters. That would have been nice. It's a very good film, and I'm very proud of it. And the new actress Kennedy De La Serna, who plays the lead, and I played a hermit that lives on the river, and that's why I'm saying it's a lot. When you keep this, and something comes up, it's going great. I already have it, so it's good, And if I don't need it, it takes me 10 minutes to shave it, So
that's on virtual theaters. That movie that you're Once Upon a River.
Yeah, if you go to filmmovement.com/Once Upon a River, it'll take it to the virtual theaters, and you hit rent, and you rent it for $12, and it's good for 3 days, and you watch it at home, so.
Check it out, and I'll put a link at the end of this as well, for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Going back to, I was going to talk to you about this towards the end, but Beverly Hills Cop 4, Eddie's just done Coming to America 2, which I'm dying
Right.
to see. It's Coming to America was a fantastic movie. But so is there a script for Beverly Hills Cop 4, or
They're writing it now. It's all in development now. So I
Okay.
have no idea what it's about or whether I'm in it or not. I talked to Jerry Bruckheimer and a couple of months ago when Once Upon a River was going to open. I was doing a bunch of interviews on Zoom and I did the day that Once Upon a River opened, which was like October 2nd or something like that. I was on the phone all day doing radio interviews all across the country, and I was on the phone for 8 hours doing all these interviews and stuff. And before I did that, I called Jerry and I said, "Look, I know they're going to ask me about it in the interview. So what's going on with Cop 4?" And he said, "It's in development. I got nothing to tell you." And I said, "Okay, so that's the only answer I have. It's in development. So hopefully I'll be in it. I didn't do 3, but hopefully they'll bring me back for 4. So
Yeah, I want to touch on Beverly Hills Cop shortly because as soon as I put up that banner of that I was interviewing John Ashton, I had so many people messaging me, even friends going, "You're talking to Sergeant Taggart." It's like, yes, couldn't wait. You can ask him this, you can ask him that. I do have a few questions about the whole Beverly Hills Cop franchise, but going back to 1974, just quickly, you did a episode of Columbo, season 4, Negative Reaction. The episode was called.
I forget what the title of that show was. Actually, it was just on TV the other night.
Yeah, Negative Reaction.
Negative Reaction. Dick
Actually,
Van
put it on DVD.
Yeah, Dick Van Dyke was a guest star, and I was, one of the guest stars. But Dick Van Dyke was the major guest star.
Yeah. Joyce Van Patten was on it as well. She played the wife.
Who did? Yeah, maybe.
Joyce Van Patten,
hey, yeah, right. But that was an interesting. I got a phone ringing back there. It's driving me crazy.
You need to get it.
No, that's all right. It's my cell phone. It'll go away. Peter Falk actually saved my career. He actually did. I to this day I thank him. I was just beginning to get into television. I graduated in 1973 from USC, and I won the Drama Critics Circle Award in 1973 for A Flea in Her Ear, which was a French farce I did in the theater in LA, and I was just beginning to get into television and film and stuff. And before I did that Columbo, and I won't mention any names, but I did a little guest thing on another television show, which was a big hit, and he was a big TV star, the lead guy, and I got there, and he walked on the set, and he said, "All right, who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy?" Smoking a cigarette, and I thought, he's the star of the show, and he was a big star at the time. And I said, "This guy hasn't even read the script, and he doesn't even know who we are." He just, we were just. And I was so discouraged of that. And it was such a downer to me. And that Patti Page song came to my head. Is that all there is? It's like, and I was coming from theater, just starting to get into film. And I went, is this it? This guy doesn't even know who we are. He hasn't read the script. And I was really discouraged. And I was really depressed about that.
Wow.
So about 3 or 4 weeks later, I got the Columbo. And I had this scene with Peter, and I went to the sound stage, and I got there at 7 a.m, and we never got to my scene. So I sat there all day long, and we never got to my scene with Peter by the fireplace in the house and stuff. And
the real estate agent.
Yeah. So they said, "Okay, that's a wrap. We'll get to that scene tomorrow." So, I sat there all day doing nothing, except watching. And I was trying to observe and soak it all in. And everybody went home, and I was packing my stuff up, and there was dark in the sound stage. And all of a sudden I hear this voice. This is, "Are you John?" And I said, "Yeah." And it was Peter, and he goes, "You want to rehearse this thing tomorrow that we got to do? Well, you want to rehearse it now?" And I said, "Yeah, that'd be great, man." So it was, I swear to you, it was just Peter and me on the sound stage. Everybody was gone. And he and I stayed there for a half an hour working things out. He goes, I said, oh, well, how about if I do this? Yeah, that's good. You do that, then I'll do this. And, and I went, wow. I mean, he brought it back to me, what our, what we do, creating a scene and creating characters. And so at the end of the filming, I had my script and I brought it over to Peter and I said, Peter, would you sign my script for me?
Oh,
And
wow.
he looked at me and he goes, what do you want me to sign this for? He said, you're a good actor. What do you want me to sign it? And I said, I have my personal reasons. And I never told him. And he signed it, and I still have it to this day.
Oh, you
So
still have it?
yeah, yeah.
Wow. I'd love to
I
see
mean,
it.
he brought my faith back into what I do for a living, so, and so he literally, I was going to quit. I was going to move back to New York and just do theater back there. And I said, the heck with it. And if this is what it is, and I'm not interested. And he brought my faith back into it, and so I thank him to this day.
So just from him doing that rehearsal with you.
Yeah, that he cared and he wanted to do something. The other guy was just like, yeah, say your line, let's get out of here. It's like,
Yeah.
it was like I say, I had just won the Drama Critics Award for a play that I had done in LA, and nobody cared about that. It's like, he didn't know who we were, me and the other guy. So
Yeah.
but Peter he reinstilled my faith in what I do. So.
And what was he like to work with, Peter Falk? I mean, I've seen every Columbo episode, and I mean, I love that show.
Yeah, he was great in it. When I did my series Hardball in 1989 and 90, I wanted to steal some stuff from Peter for my character because I don't know if you ever saw the series Hardball with me and Richard Tyson, but and I really didn't want to do that series, but they talked me into it, so I ended up doing it. But it was a guy, the older cop with the young hippie cop. Richard's this long-haired, good-looking young guy, and I'm the older, seasoned cop. So it was kind of a good match. And but I wanted to bring some of that Columbo type of thing to my character. I wanted an old beat up Corvette for my car, and stuff like that. And they wouldn't do that, and they wouldn't do this, and and I wanted to dress a little more sloppy like Peter did in Columbo, but no, you got to wear this tie, So anyway, but yeah.
I mean, that was a brilliant show, Columbo. I mean, right at the start, the murders happen. You know straight away who's done it, what's happened, but you watch it right till the end to see how he solves it.
Right. Well, I mean, he was. I mean, that was a classic. I mean, there's two really classic. Well, there's probably more than that, but off the top of my head, Peter Falk was just a classic Columbo. I mean, and Tony Shalhoub and Monk is just. He's got that same kind of.
Yeah.
Tony Shalhoub and Monk is good. I think he's great in that. So it's. It's they're kind of quirky characters, and I wanted, when I did my series, I wanted to be a little more quirky, and they wanted me to be the straight guy and the young kid to be the hip guy, so
Yeah.
What do you do?
No, that was all. It was a great episode, and Dick Van Dyke was great too. Have you worked with him before, or?
No, I had breakfast with him once by mistake. We ran into each other at a diner and after that and had breakfast and talked, but I'll never forget. And I felt so bad for this extra. I'm sitting on the set and I'm watching them shoot the scene. It was a scene they did in a hospital room. And I don't know if you remember that scene, but I think Dick Van Dyke's in the hospital and Peter Falk's interviewing him and stuff while he was in this hospital.
He shot himself in the leg and
yeah. So I was sitting there just watching him work, because I was, like I said, I was I was a young guy and I'm trying to learn my craft on that end.
You were watching that scene.
Yeah. So I'm watching them, and they did this in a one shot, they didn't make any cuts. So they had this camera on a big dolly
Yeah.
and they shot it was like a 3-page scene and without any cuts, and they just kept circling with the camera, and moving around and doing all that. And right at the end of the scene, this extra who's playing a cop opens the door and says, uh, Mr. Columbo, they found the guy at this hotel or motel or whatever.
Yeah.
You got one line at the very end, and that's the end of the scene, right? So the first take, they go through the whole 3 pages of dialogue, and the camera's moving around, and boom, 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 and all of a sudden they zoom down in, and the guy opens the door and he goes, what's my line?
One line.
I mean, he was so nervous. I mean, that's the worst thing for an actor, to have one line, and he was just like waiting. And finally, the lights came on him, and he went, "What's my line?" So they had to redo the whole thing, bring all the cameras all the way back. And I felt so sorry for this guy. Oh,
I wonder if you ever got work again after that.
I don't know. They did it like 3 or 4 times, and Peter and Dick were very, very, they were very nice to the guy. They didn't get upset. They were very professional and very nice. So
Wow.
anyway,
It must be a
I'll
nerve
never forget that.
working with some big time actors, as an extra, or going on the set with someone like yourself or Peter Falk, Dick Van Dyke.
I know. I try to relax everybody and just say, "Hey, look, man, we're here to have a good time, and let's just have fun." And I try to make everybody, and I was very, very, when I did my series, I was very concerned with that, of welcoming new people, because you have guest stars come on your show every week, and some people have big parts, some people have a small part. But I made it a point to go to everybody and introduce myself and welcome them to the show and stuff. And I thought, that's the professional thing to do, and to make them feel at ease and comfortable. And hey, let's have some fun and do something. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. So 1984, I have to get to it because a lot of people want to talk about Beverly Hills Cop. I mean, one of the greatest movies I think ever. So it was written 7 years prior to the movie being shot.
It went through a lot of changes. It went through a lot of development. And I believe it or not, I got that totally out of the blue from a play, from a play I was doing. I did in 1981. I did a production of True West, written by Sam Shepard, with Ed Harris. Ed Harris and I did it at South Coast Repertory Company in Los Angeles, and we both won Drama Critics Award for it in '81. And a couple of years later, I got a call, and I went into Paramount, and this casting director, she was from New York, and she said, "John, I'm going to tell you something. There's nothing in this movie for you, but I saw you and Ed's performance of True West down at South Coast, and I loved your performance, and I just wanted to meet you." And that was it. She just wanted to meet me. It was, so I said, "Well, nice to meet you." And we had a nice chat, and that was it, and I didn't think anything of it after that. And about a month later, I get a call that they want you to come and audition for Beverly Hills Cop. So I believe Mickey Rourke was going to do it at the time.
Yeah, I read that as well.
Yeah, and when you really read the script, the original script, it's a pretty gritty script. It's this guy revenging his death of his buddy in Detroit, and he goes to LA, and it's a gritty drama, and Mickey Rourke was signed to do it, and then he left the project. But anyway, when I think the first time I read, Rourke was attached to it, and I read the scene where I punch him in the stomach, and I say, "We want a loudmouth guy," and I read that scene. It's like a 2-page scene. And I auditioned with that scene. So I didn't hear anything for a month. probably, or, and I forgot all about it, because that's what happens in Hollywood. You go read, you leave, and you forget about it, and, until you hear something. But so I forgot totally about it. And then I get a call to say they want you to come in and audition for Beverly Hills Cop. And I said, I already did that, but okay, fine, I went in, and I think Stallone was attached to it at that time.
Yeah, I read that as well.
So, and he wanted to make it a big, Rambo blows up Beverly Hills or something. I don't know what he wanted to do, but anyway, I would go in and they gave me the same scene to read, and I'm reading with the casting person. That's it, just me and the casting.
Okay.
Huh?
So it wasn't Eddie or any of the judge or any of them reading?
Oh, no. It was just me and a casting person. So I read the scene for the producers and all that, and they go, okay, thank you. And it was the same scene. So then they call me back and do it again, a couple of weeks later. I go in and do it again, the same thing, A couple of weeks go by, and all of a sudden, Eddie's attached to it, and they call me in again, but I don't know that. I have no idea the progression of how this went. I found it all later, but so I go, man, I've read for this thing like 5 times. It's like, please, So I go in, and there's like 100 actors in there in the hallway, and they were picking and choosing actors to read together at that time. So by chance, they put me and Judge together. They just said you, and it was just by accident that Judge and I, they put us, okay, you two. So we said, okay, thanks. And so Judge comes over to me and he says, what'd you think of the script? And I said, I don't know, I haven't read the script. And he said, what? You haven't read the script? I said, all I read is this one scene with me punching him in the stomach. That's the only scene I've read, And he went, oh no, and he said, what? And he starts hurriedly trying to tell me what the story's about and blah, blah, blah. And I said, because I didn't have any idea. So I just said, why the hell with it? Don't worry about it. We'll just wing it, So he goes, what? I go, we'll just wing it. So we go into the office and we read this scene with this other guy who was reading for the captain that Ronnie Cox ended up playing, but it wasn't Ronnie Cox, it was another actor. So it was me judging this other actor. And so halfway through the thing, I said, Captain, can I talk to him? Can I talk to you alone for a minute? And the judge kind of stood there and he didn't know what to do. So I looked at the actor and I said, can I get a new partner? Because this guy's a real pain in the ass, And everybody in the room laughed, like, Bruckheimer and Simpson and Marty Brest. They were all in the. Now everybody was in the room, because this was the final callbacks and stuff. So they just loved the chemistry that Judge and I had. Marty loved it, so that's how we got it. And we were just ad-libbing stuff, and a lot of stuff we put in that audition, they put into the film later, and that one episode right there, they wrote into the script of Beverly Hills Cop, and we had been filming for about 3 months, and Marty kept building our characters and building, because we started out as very minor characters in the script. We were very minor characters. It was, Taggart and Rose would wait in the car, and no dialogue, and we'd shoot it sipping coffee and looking out the window, and then Marty would go, okay, we got that. Now you guys just ad lib something, and he would let us just run with it. And all that stuff was put in the film. Like in that instance, Judge happened to be reading a magazine in the car for real, So they rolled
telling you ate too much meat.
Yeah. And they rolled the cameras and Judge went, wow, did you know by the time you're 50 years old, there's 12 pounds of undigested meat in your system? And I said, why are you telling me that? Let me just think of any, well, you eat a lot of meat, that was all ad lib stuff,
Ad lib, wow.
It was all ad lib, and then jumping over the wall, with the thing, that was all.
That was a.
That was all improvised, I mean,
Marty came shoulders trying to get up the wall.
Marty came over and he said, okay, I want you guys to have a hard time getting over the wall. And honestly, the end of the wall was like 4 feet away. And I said to Marty, why don't we just walk around the wall? And he goes, no, that's not funny. You guys come up with something. So I said, "Hey, Judge, remember when we were kids and you put your hand, your foot in the thing?" And I said, "Okay, you know," and I got in the wrong foot, and that was all improvised stuff, and then it was
Wow.
in the movie. So then they had written into the script, and we had been filming, and Judge and I had this relationship by that time. And now these minor characters became co-stars of the movie, you know, and so we were going to shoot the scene where I asked the captain for a new partner.
Yeah.
The thing we had lived in the audition, you know, 8 months ago. So we're getting ready to shoot the scene, and then Marty came over to me and he said, "Do you really want to shoot this scene?" And I said, "Why?" And he goes, he said, "I love your relationship to the two of you. You're like this harried husband with this, you know." And he said, "And I'm afraid you're going to look like a jerk if we shoot this scene, you know." And I said, "I think you're right." And he said, you let's not shoot it. I said, "Let's not shoot it." So we never shot it. So,
Oh, wow.
and Marty was right. He didn't want to ruin that henpecked kind of relationship, you know. So
So
anyway,
I know you know Martin Brest very well. Was
yeah.
it the real? Well, I read it online that he didn't really want to do this movie. He flipped a coin. Was it? I mean, is that true?
I think it is. Yeah,
Scorsese was looking at this movie as well. Martin Scorsese wanted him to direct it.
well, a lot of people were, you know.
Yeah.
And the and when Midnight Run came about, Marty directed that, and that was totally by accident. That I was at a play that Joey Pants was doing, who plays
Bail Bond guy.
the bail bondsman, yeah. But he did a play in L.A. and I went to see it. And at the intermission, an actor friend of mine came up to me and he said, "Well, you're going to do Midnight Run, right?" And I said, "I don't know. I never heard of it." And he goes, "You haven't heard of it?" And I said, "No." And he said, "You got to get it and read the script." He said, "Marty Brest is directing it." And I went, "You're kidding." My Cracker Jack agents, I mean, they should have been on top of this. But anyway, I found out from the actor, and then I called my agents. I said, "Yeah," and I read the script, and I go. So I called Marty, and I talked to Marty, and I said, "Hey, the part of Dorfler, I mean, and he goes, yeah, you'd be great in that." And he said, "But you got to audition." And I said, "Marty, what do I got to audition with you for? I mean, we did cop together." And he goes, "It's not me, it's Bobby. Bobby wants to audition with everybody." And I learned a lesson from Bob at the time. He wanted to read with everybody because he wanted to choose who he was going to work with, which I think was brilliant, because and I won't name any names, but I have accepted jobs and gotten on the set and went, "Oh my God,"
Yeah.
and, and he wanted somebody. And so I went in and auditioned and everybody was scared to death. And we were there out in the hallway, to go in and read with De Niro. And everybody was like, "Oh God, I got to read with De Niro." And everybody was like freaking out, and I couldn't wait, man. I was like excited, I couldn't wait to go in there. So I can't say everything we said in the audition on this.
Oh no, go ahead. Say it's only on YouTube though.
Well, you can bleep it out or whatever, But anyway, we're reading the scene where I get him in the alley and I try to get the keys from him and stuff, and so we're in the audition, and he goes to hand me. He picks up some matches and he goes to hand them to me, and then I go to reach for him and he threw them down and he just stared at me. And I looked at him and I said, "Fuck you." And he goes, "Fuck you too." And I said, "Fuck you," because he wanted me to pick him up and I wouldn't pick him up. But we did in character, And then I heard George Gallo, the writer who was in the room, told me later, as soon as I walked out, Bobby went, "I want him," because he wanted somebody to stand up to him, And in the original script, Dorfler gets killed halfway through the movie in the original script. But the way I played Marvin, and this was a lesson I learned from an actor friend of mine, the one who actually told me about Midnight Run. His name is Alan Vint, who's now not with us anymore, but he was terrific script reader. But anyway, Dorfler was written as a real ugly kind of guy, and Alan had once told me, he said, well, I was auditioning for something or I wasn't auditioning, I was going to do it. And I couldn't figure out how to play the guy. And then I met with Alan and I said, I don't know how to play this guy. And he said, well, let me read it. And he read it. And then he said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, he's the bad guy in the thing, you know, and Alan went, what do you mean he's the bad guy? And I said, well, he's the bad guy in the piece, you know. And he says, you're not a bad guy. Nobody's a bad guy. And I said, what do you mean? He said, do you know anybody that when they were kids, they said, when I grew up, I want to be a bad guy? You don't plan on being a bad guy. You end up being a bad guy,
Yeah.
but you can't play a bad guy. So that's always stuck with me. It was the greatest advice I ever got. So when I played Dorfler, I didn't play him like a bad guy. I played him, I'm doing my job and you're in my way.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get my job done, you know, and Jack, you're in my way, you know, I mean, and so I made him more of a comical character that way, you know. So we about halfway through filming, we were in Arizona somewhere or something, and Marty came up and said, we can't kill Dorfler. You know, the audience will hate us if we kill Dorfler. Because I wasn't a despicable, nasty bad guy. I was just a guy doing my job, you know. So they got a hold of George and he rewrote the ending. So I show up in the airport and did all that. But originally, when I meet the two mob guys in Vegas and I show them the picture of the Duke, they shoot me in that scene.
Ah.
I say I want 2 million now instead of a million. I want 2 million or whatever the line was, and they just shoot me in the movie in the original script. So now we get to Las Vegas and we're shooting that scene, and Marty goes, "Wait a minute, this is the scene where you're supposed to get shot, and now you're not getting shot." He said, "What are we going to do?" And I said, "Just have him knock me out." And he goes, "Okay, great idea." And that's what happened. That's how we did it.
It was a classic movie. I mean, it's a great movie. What was it like working with De Niro on that movie?
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. We were on the road for 6 months. I mean,
Yeah.
we started in New York and literally worked our way across the country. And we were in New York, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Chicago, Indiana, Arizona, California, Nevada. Then they shot the river scene in New Zealand.
I was in New Zealand. Wow.
Well, that one shot when Bobby goes in after Grodin, you know, and he jumps in and they have that scene in the river. They shot that in New Zealand because we were in Arizona at the Salt River at the time, and it was December or January, it was the middle of winter, and it was ice cold. And they tried to shoot it once, and Grodin sunk to the bottom, you know, and the stunt guys had to go get him and stuff, and it was really dangerous. So they flew to New Zealand because it was summer over there and the water was warm. And anyway, so but it was a great film to work. It was a great script and fun to work with. I loved playing the character, and it was one of those characters I just melted into, you know. So
yeah, you played it awesome. I mean, and every cop movie that you're in, you've always got these big rifles, you know. Even Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 and Midnight Runner, you've got these massive rifles.
I know it. We did on Cop 2. I said to Tony Scott, I said, you know, we're in the shootout scene at the end, and I know guns a little bit, and you know, I've got the shotgun, and I'm shooting it like 100 times, you know, and I said, Tony, give me a shot where I'm loading the thing, you know, because they only hold 4 shots, and I'm shooting it. And he goes, no, nobody will notice that. Nobody will notice that. I said, well, I will. So that's when I just threw it down and took out my pistol and started shooting. But we were shooting Midnight Run, and I said that to Marty when Bobby and I were by the bridge there, and the helicopter was there, and we're shooting.
Yeah.
And I said to Marty, let me reload here sometime. He goes, well, you figure out a time to do it. So I did it during the line. And when I said, how much is he paying you? And he goes, $100,000. I go, oh, shit. Well, I did it while we were talking, you know, loading the shot.
Yeah. Classic scenes. Back in Beverly Hills Cop, there's a scene where Ronnie Cox is there and you and Judge and Eddie, you've come back from the strip club in the and Eddie's trying to explain, you know, what had happened, and your head is just like, you know.
Oh yeah. That's well, it was Eddie was all ad lib. That whole thing was an ad lib.
Oh wow.
So we were just hearing it for the first time too when he's going, these guys are super cops. They should have capes, and he's doing, and so Judge was pinching himself not to laugh, and I was trying not to laugh. I mean, because Eddie was just ad libbing everything at that point, So
Yeah, it looked
because
like
like I
he really
said,
wanted to laugh in that scene.
well, like I say, like I said earlier, the original script was a very gritty script, and then Eddie was making a comedy out of it. So we were ad libbing and adding stuff all the time to bring the humor to it. So, in the second one, when he's got that scene in the office when he says to the chief, the St. Croix, I'm from the Isle of St. Croix and all that stuff. That was all ad lib.
Yeah.
That was all, kibble and bits, like kibble and bits and stuff, that was all ad lib stuff, because what had been written, we tried for a couple of takes, and Eddie went, that's not funny. He said, I'll be back. And he left the set and came back like 15 minutes later. He goes, okay, let's shoot it now. And then he just started rambling on about, Isle of St. Croix, and so it was fun to work with.
So it was interesting. Inspector Todd in the first Beverly Hills Cop, played by Gil Hill, was actually a real Detroit police inspector.
Yeah, and he actually later on ran for mayor of Detroit. He ran.
He ran for mayor.
He was a real cop. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said his character was completely different to him. Like he never swore in his real personal life. And
yeah.
He was offered a lot of movie parts after Beverly Hills Cop, but didn't take any.
Yeah, I never got a chance to meet him. So, because they shot that stuff in Detroit and we shot all of our stuff in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So I never even got a chance to meet Gil, but he was terrific in the movie.
Yeah, he was very, very funny in the movie. And yeah, going to Beverly Hills Cop 2, which was 1987. So Martin Brest was offered to direct Beverly Hills Cop 2, but said no.
Yeah. He didn't want to redo something he already did. That's just the way Marty is.
Yeah.
He wants to move on to something new, and he just, and then actually when they were talking about 4. They've been talking about 4 for 15 years, I think, or something. But I had lunch with Marty and I tried to talk him into it because I didn't do 3 and he wasn't, and I actually did a little Big League instead of Beverly Hills Cop 3. And it's a long story why I didn't do it. They wanted me to do it and we just couldn't work things out. But it's a long story.
It was actually weird watching that movie without you in it. It was
every fan in the world has said that, and they just said it's not the same without you. And they believe me, I was supposed to be in it, and we just never could work a deal out. And in the meantime, and they kept postponing it, and then I signed a contract to do Little Big League, and then I couldn't get out of the contract. Anyway, it's a long story, but and even when I was shooting Little Big League, they still were trying to get me into it. And we couldn't work the dates out and stuff like that. So it just never worked out. But then when they were talking about 4 and I had lunch with Marty and I said, I was saying, why don't you direct 4? And he goes, no, I didn't do 2 or 3. Why should I do 4? And I said, yeah, but Marty, think of it. I said, if I come back in the movie and you direct it, the publicity just opening weekend, the original cast, the original director. I said, come on, Marty. And I said, I got a great idea for the storyline. And he goes, what? So I said, Eddie gets in trouble in Detroit and Judge and I go to Detroit to help him out. And now we're the fish out of water in Detroit instead of him being the fish out of water in Los Angeles. And Marty goes, that's the idea. That's it. I said, yeah, Marty, but I'm an actor. They didn't ever listen to me, but they'll, but he loved the idea. And his wheels started turning and I thought maybe I got him, and then, he ended up going, nah, I'm not doing it. So,
that's such a good idea, though. Such a great
I still think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because in the 3, they just say that I retired and I'm playing golf in Arizona or something. But, you know, it's easy to come out of retirement because he's in trouble, and you know, and Judge and I get together and go there and help him, and Marty was going, oh yeah, the Detroit music, and he was all of a sudden his reels were clicking. I thought I hooked him, you know, and he said, nah.
Wow, that'd be amazing. I mean, three was good, but it just didn't feel, you know, without you in it. You know, you, Eddie, and Judge just made Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2.
Well, thank you. It was a group effort, believe me, but thank you.
Yeah. And I mean,
your character. I give all the credit to Marty because he just let Judge and I fly, and he let Eddie fly. I mean, Marty knew like, he had to just let us go and create. And that's a great director when he lets you, because I've worked with directors that don't let you pick up a pen without, you know, them okaying it. You know, I mean, it's, you know, it's some directors are no, can't do that. Don't do that. Don't do this. It's like, come on, I'm trying to create something here, you know?
Yeah.
And so Marty just let us fly, you know, which was great. And the banana in the tailpipe, which is such a famous bit in the original script, it was a potato in the tailpipe. and Eddie goes, no, a banana's funnier, you know? So, I mean, and he was right, you know? So,
I mean, that opening scene with you in Beverly Hills Cop, the first one, where you've punched Eddie. I mean, it was hard to work out if Taggart was going to be one of those crooked, you know, bad cops. You know, you had no idea from that moment. I mean, that was a funny scene.
yeah. And then, you know, he comes around, you know, he just, you know, so it was a great character. I'd love to do it again.
Yeah, it'd be amazing to have you in 4. And going back on Beverly Hills Cop 2 was Bridget Nielsen obviously played a big part. It got a bit darker, that movie, you know, her shooting Ronnie Cox at the start and things like that. What was it like to work with her?
Well, we didn't have any scenes together, but you know, we were on the set a lot together. We saw each other. Other than when I shot her, you know, and that was a stunt girl that I shot, so it really wasn't even her, you know. But you know, that was another example that Tony Scott came, and because there were no lines in the script after I shoot her, you know, and then I walk into the doorway and Eddie looks up at me, and there was no dialogue. We just looked at each other, you know, and Tony said, you know, you got to say something to him. What, you know, say something to him. And I said, okay. And so Judge and I were just sitting there, and I said, Tony wants me to say something. I don't know, you know, and Judge said, well, why don't you say women? You can't live with them. You can't live without them. And I said, that's too long. That's too long, you know. So we got to the scene and we shot it, and I looked and I just went, women, you know, and that's all that needed to be said, you know.
It said it all. It was great. It was a great movie. The scene where you're at the house that Eddie stole, and he's in the pool, and you're on the edge, yelling at him, telling him to get out. Did you actually fall? I mean, it looked like you actually fell in by accident. Was that rehearsed or?
No, I did it myself. You couldn't use stunt guy because it was a long shot. It had to be me. So, and we shot it about 8 times because we had to shoot different angles every time. So I'd go in, and then I'd come out of the pool, and the wardrobe people had all the same suits, dry suits, waiting. So I had to take the wet one off, dry off, put the clean one back on. They go out and shoot it again. And, you know, I had just worked it out. And believe me, there were a couple of times I almost hit the back of my head on a pool. Like I came real close a few times, but it all worked out good. Nobody ever got hurt. So.
Yeah. I mean, you made that scene look, I mean, the way you fell in, it was like you actually really, it was an accident.
Well, I really did. I worked it out where I could slip and go, you know, so.
And then you've dressed up in that outfit, gone to the strip club, which is another.
Yeah, I hated that. It was perfect for the character, but I hated it. It was ugly.
Gerald Ford.
Gerald Ford.
Yeah.
I have a picture with me with Gerald Ford yeah. Then I put it in my dress in the makeup trailer. I put it up on a mirror. Years ago, I emceed a show in Denver, and Gerald Ford was getting the key to the city and stuff, and he and Biddy came to the thing. They were obviously the guests of honor, and So I have a tux on and everything, and so I have a picture with me and Jerry Ford. So and during the filming, I put it up on the mirror in the dressing room, so everybody knew. See, I do know Jerry Ford.
Yeah, the drinks are on us. President Ford was
Yeah.
the line of leaving. You had no idea. That was great. And then you go to the Playboy Mansion, and I read up that was actually one of the first movies to be ever shot at the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah, Hefner was really didn't let people do that.
Yeah.
But that was fun. That was fun shooting there, and then we got on Hef's guest list, so we could go to the mansion after that anytime we wanted to, and we got invited to the parties after that, and
Oh wow.
and so we were on his guest list, so we could just pull up to the Rock and pull right in, and I'd go have lunch there, or just go to a VA New Year's Eve party there, and he used to have parties. He had a Sunday night uh, uh, party every Sunday night. He would show a first run movie in
Yeah.
his theater that they had in his house, and he had a big. You would go there for dinner like at 6 o'clock, and you have cocktails and dinner, and then they'd come around and tell you to go in and you watch a movie, and then go to a party after. But it was family night, so it was kind of cool. Sunday night was family night with the family, and
Yeah.
go watch a movie, so it was cool. It was
You don't have to
that.
answer this, but did you ever go back to the mansion after you shot the movie?
Yeah,
I
like
did.
those things. I went to the Sunday night movies, and
Oh wow.
he, if there was a big heavyweight fight or something, he would have a big party and have and Chevy Chase and all of us would be there watching the fight, and it was great.
Wow.
Sean Connery. I mean, it was great. It was, and I went to the New Year's Eve party there, and I went there quite a few times. Yeah, it was cool.
Amazing. That's what was Hugh like as a person? I mean, you see him on TV and interviews and things.
Pretty quiet. Pretty quiet. He'd come down and nod and shake your hand and hi, oh, yeah, and then he would disappear. But he just opened his house up to everybody, and that was quite a while ago. He was married.
Yeah.
Can't remember who he was married to at the time, but he threw some great parties, and a lot of them were just parties like the heavyweight fights and stuff, and a bunch of guys would go there to watch the fight and gamble and stuff. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, it would have been an amazing experience. I mean, that was a funny scene, at Beverly Hills Cop 2 at the mansion. That was a very funny scene. Eddie
I
Murphy,
know.
follow your dicks, That was and you also worked on with John Hughes, who, an amazing film. I mean, he was my childhood. I mean, all the movies he made back in the 80s,
Sure.
Planes, Trains, Automobiles, and you're in She's Having a Baby.
Yeah, I did 3 films with John, actually. I did She's Having a Baby and Some Kind of Wonderful, and then I did a cameo in Curly Sue for him. And John was that way. After we did She's Having a Baby, I think it was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Kevin Bacon had a little cameo part in the beginning of that when he gets the cab away from Steve Martin or something in the very beginning. So John was like that. He'd have a star of the film, and all of a sudden he'd have you come and do his cameo for him, And
Yeah.
so I did one for Curly Sue for him, and actually, Some Kind of Wonderful and She's Having a Baby, we shot at the same time.
Oh, really?
Well, John had written and produced Some Kind of Wonderful, but Howie Deutsch directed it, and we were shooting that in L.A. And while I was shooting that, John wrote and directed She's Having a Baby in Chicago. So he called me and he said, I want you to play Kevin's neighbor and She's Having a Baby. And I said, well, I'm in LA doing your other movie. And he says, well, when you have time off from there, fly to Chicago and then we'll shoot this stuff. And so I was going to, flying back and forth. And I got to Chicago and we were supposed to do this lawnmower scene out in the yard where
Yeah,
the dance scene with the mowers and all that. Well, it rained in Chicago, and it rained for days, and we couldn't shoot the scene because it was pouring down rain. And then they were hollering for me to be back in LA for some kind of wonderful. And John kept holding me in Chicago to shoot that scene, you know. And then I said, John, you're the producer, man. You're the boss, man. You tell me where to go. And he goes, you stay here till we get this done, and then go back to LA. I said, okay. So it was cool. And John was great. And I actually, my contribution to, other than acting, and she's having a baby, John and I and his wife and a couple of us were out to dinner, and Larry Hankin, and the next day, John was going to shoot the scene where Kevin comes back home after being at the nightclub and all that. And he comes and he's going to lose his wife and all that stuff, and then he comes and looks in the window, and so John was telling me, he said, yeah, you know, and then we're gonna shoot it where he looks through the window, and he's not there, and he's going like, oh my God, what am I doing? You know, I'm not there. And I said to John at dinner, I said, shoot it at Christmas time with the Christmas tree, and he's not there for Christmas. And John went, perfect. That's it. That's the way he shot it. That's my other contribution, is she's having a baby.
You got some good ideas. I really love Beverly Hills Cop 4 idea there. I mean, John Hughes made some, you know, amazing movies. I mean,
Classics.
Trains, Automobiles is like one of my.
Oh, I love Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That was great.
Yeah. I mean,
he did a lot of good stuff. You know, he went way too soon, man. You know, he was a great guy. And John and I got along great.
Yeah, it would have been amazing to work with him.
I would have liked to work with John Candy. I actually met. I was in going to John Hughes's office to go see John for something, and John Candy was in the office when I went in, and they were having a meeting, and I just met Candy, just, you know, in the office, say hi, nice to meet you, blah blah blah. And I said, I got to talk to John about something. He goes, that's all right, I'm done, you know, blah blah blah. You guys go ahead. But I would have loved to work with Candy too, but you know, unfortunately.
He was in a few John Hughes movies as well.
Yeah. I just watched Uncle Buck the other night. It's
great movie. I mean, yeah, very, very.
Yeah.
Too soon. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could talk to you all night. I know it's getting late over there, and I really appreciate your.
Not doing anything. Well, we're in lockdown, man. I ain't doing anything. But go ahead.
Appreciate your time today. My time.
I've got the stuff here. Do you want me to sign anything on camera or not?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. If you want to sign one, and a few of the fans I'm going to send them out to, and that'd be awesome.
You want me to do it on camera?
Oh, totally up to you. Totally up to you.
Well, let's see. I got it right here. I don't know which one you want me to sign.
If you just want to sign one, and then you can do the rest off camera, is fine. Yeah. That pictures that I sent you is a classic picture. That's of you, Judge, and Eddie.
Which one do you want me to sign?
I think there's 5 there. You can sign each one of them. It's fine.
Because I looked at them before. They're all the same, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They're all this, right?
That's the one. What a classic shot.
It is a classic shot. We were at the racetrack. We were at the racetrack where the racehorses were. That's where we shot that. And we were just hanging around in between shots, and a still photographer came over and took the shot. So
it's an amazing shot. Do you still speak to Eddie and Judge, or?
Huh?
Do you still speak to Eddie and Judge? Are you still in contact with them?
I see Judge and I go to a few Comic Cons together. We did one in London. We did one in Edinburgh, Scotland. We did one in Stuttgart. Back in Rhode Island, we did one. So Judge and I bump into each other every now and then. But you know, we just, you know, in this business, you get to be close to somebody. But you know what? Our Eddie was like 23 when we were doing Cop One, and
23, wow.
yeah, and we just have different lifestyles. And we got along great. We go to the set and we got along great and worked well together. But when they yell cut, it's a wrap. You go home, and I'd go home. I'm a golfer, so if I had a day off, I go play golf. And Eddie was going to the nightclubs, and I don't do that. So you have different lifestyles, and you just
Yeah.
when you're working together, you work together. And so, well, how do you want me to sign this?
Just your name is fine. That's fine. Yeah.
You don't want me to say to anybody, right?
That's okay. That's okay. Maybe on one of them you could write Sergeant Taggart. That'd be pretty.
Well, I do. I always put Taggart down there. So I'll do it in silver, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be great. You can sign the rest off camera is fine. That's okay.
How's
Fantastic.
that?
That's perfect. Yeah,
Can you see that?
yeah, that's awesome. Love it. Thank you so much for your time, John. I really appreciate it. And it's
My pleasure, man.
I was a bit nervous speaking to you because you're such a big when I was younger, you so many big movies and
Don't worry. I don't get nervous. Don't get nervous. We're just talking.
Yeah.
We're just having a good time.
that's it.
So you want me to do the rest of them and just put my name and Taggart?
Yeah, that's
it?
fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Not to anybody or anything, right?
No, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your.
You have any phone calls coming in or anything?
No. I had I asked some questions in the I did have a couple of questions, which was I had them in my own questions. So yeah, no, that's all good.
You got all got them all?
Yeah, but we maybe one time we should organise like a Facebook Live and have the fans jump on and can,
I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
I love it. But, when I go do screenings of films and stuff, we always have a Q&A after and with the audience. And I love getting up doing the Q&As and, you learn a lot from them. You learn as much from them as they learn from you. So
yeah,
I enjoy it. So
no, we really appreciate it. I'll organise it one night and I'll let you know prior, and we'll get that happening. It'd be great.
All right, Matt. I'll be here.
Awesome. Thanks so much, John.
You have my email, so just let me know.
I do.
All right, man.
Appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you, man.
See
And
you.
I'll get this back to you.
Yeah, I'll organise that for you. No problem.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks, man. See ya. Bye.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.